So here is the deal. We are going through subreddit on Excel, contributing on a wheel, taking top 5 most upvoted solved threads for a week, and explaining logic of their solutions. We start now! I have a spreadsheet for managing new members on my database. If a field cell is not completed with data, then I just put in null. I need a macro that will search the table, find any instance of null across columns A, AK, and if found, then go to column AL if the profile is complete, and update the corresponding cell with false. The solution for this case suggested by Twinny was essentially a great example of the way we are using Excel. In most cases, we are looking forward to have some VBA or some macro that will arrange everything as we are wanting to do that, but usually we can resolve any issue with some simple formula. So I have created a draft table here where we are having some nulls and OKs, meaning that data is completed or not completed, and we are going to do the following. We are going to count if in this row for all null values. If we are going to keep the formula as such, we are going to receive the numbers of nulls in this row. Therefore, we need just to compare it to some value, so it will return us true or false. To do that, we are going to select equal and 0. True will mean that we are having no null in this row. However, if it's going to be false, it will mean that at least one cell is not complete. So just finalizing and autofilling the full row. Is it possible to have an order number in a cell and then have Excel find the price of said order number and use it in an equation? I already have all of the order numbers listed with their prices, but how I can tell Excel that these are the prices for these order numbers? Thank you for help. Before we are going to continue, I would like to say that this particular case is really underevaluated because examples and solutions that we are going to discuss is extremely interesting and difficult. However, they are still applying some basic Excel techniques. So we are having also added 2 screenshots. In the top one, we are having 2 columns that are explaining the product in a top table, and in the bottom table we are having the pricing comparing to the different product names. In the table below we are having product order that contains a lot of information, but what we are looking forward is to find the price of the order that's been pre-selected, and based on that already to calculate the full complete price of the product. So the solution that was verified originally was suggested by MHMike. I'm going to show you his logic on the condensed example from the original screenshot. I have taken only one table from the first screenshot where we are having amount of money and names of the products that we are going to use in the order form. Order form has also been changed so that we are having only information that is required for us to calculate the total value. So we are going to start with creating a link that will allow us to receive a price for the ordered name. To do that, we are going to use index function. Index function allows you to operate through the array and return specific value based on the row number or column number that you are going to provide. In our case, our array is going to be prices. Now, to calculate row number, I'm going to use some product function, and I'm going to use specificity of this function to calculate and multiply internally results of the logic comparison with some data that should be applied to this logic. So the first part, I'm going to select the whole range of the names, and I will need to make it fixed. Now I would like to compare it to our order. As a result, it will return us a true-false array that will allow us to find the position of the order name in the table. And now I would like to multiply it by the row function that returns a row number of reference, and as reference I'm going to provide again our prices. As the table originally hasn't been started in A1 or any cell in the first row, we need to consider amount of rows above our table. In our case, above we have 5 columns, so I'm going to provide -5. As soon as I'm going to click enter, I'm going to receive that the price of 4B is 16. If I'm going to auto-complete the whole table, I'm going to receive the values for all the products. So everything that is left, I need to multiply it by amount and add additional costs for packaging, delivery, and etc. Auto-completing the whole column, and we have a clear response to our original thread. Again, I believe it's underestimated and solution is magnificent. Thank you, MHMike. I want to create a calendar in Excel for the whole year that only show me the days Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday every week. Basically something like this. You can see the table on the screen. How can I do that? So the solution for this case was presented by Excelevator and is a great example how to use basic techniques of Excel. So the solution was based on 2 steps. Step number 1, you need to complete 3 first weekday you are looking forward in the current year. So as person was looking forward for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, respectively, it was required to complete 1st of January, 2nd of January, and 7th of January. To find the next Wednesday, you just need to consider the following fact. In Excel, data is stored as a number. So to find the next one, you basically need to add 7 to the previous data. This is exactly what we are going to do now. I'm going to select 1st of January and will add 7 to that. This is where I'm going to receive 8th of January, and as you can see, it represents Wednesday, because in the column just next to that, I was adding the weekday of this data. If I'm going to complete it and again do the same for the second row, I'm going to find out that it's iterating Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays all the way through. Great example. So in this thread we are having lots of text, so I'm going to bring you only key points so that we are going to find out what is in this particular case and what is additionally been discussed through the comments. So person is working as quality assurance for the brewery and is preparing the fermentization log. So there is a daily report that's available and it's stored as a separate tab. So the problem person has faced that it is not that easy to find information or to create the formulas that will extract data from each of the cells on each of the worksheets. And there is lots of issue because of that. So solution for this case was presented by Empty Hoodie, and it was consistent of 2 items that we are going to go here through. Overall, situation is the following, and there is a screenshot that has been added to the thread to show what the data we are talking about. So basically you can see there is a table to be used and the need to make it a scalable solution so that we can trigger VLOOKUP to run through different worksheets. By default, we are looking for more complex, and usually people are asking for some macro, but again this is a great example where we need to apply only simple Excel tools or simple Excel formulas, or not simple as such. And I'm talking about indirect functions. So to explain you the logic, I have created 3 additional worksheets that contains information in A1 cell, and we are going to find it out without opening this worksheet. So I'm going to create indirect function, and as you can see in cell A25 I'm having the worksheet name, and I'm going to use it to create a link to A1 cell on the respective worksheet. So that's done, and you can see this is a text from the workbook C for C. If I'm going to select for B, it's going to be changed respectively, and for A, same situation. So this is the way how we can create a scalable solution, and it will allow us to apply not only preset definitions, we can also substitute A25 reference to today function or today -1 function that will complete the whole scalability based on the need we are having. However, there was a second solution. I believe that it should work even better because it was based on reconfiguring the whole file and creating just one table where we are going to have all the data stored. Moreover, if we are going to create a smart table, we will be able to add some slicers, and that will allow us to find specific batch or specific date or specific production or any deviations that we would like to work here through. And it should be easy to analyze from the perspective of creating some reporting, improvement trends, and making some forecasts. So this is again two examples, but they are not having anything connected to VBA or macros, and it allows us to see the magic of the Excel. My friends and I like to compete in games and see who collects the most points. I'd like to make a chart line for each of our individual values, but that spaces us out based on how close our values are to each other. For example, if two people have values of 100 and 120, they would be close together on the chart line, while people that value of 100 and 500 would be much further apart. I'd input values manually, but I'd like to know if making this sort of chart line is even possible in Excel. So, solution for most upvoted thread last week was presented by T. Sailor, and let me explain you how it works. So we are having a template with the data for 4 friends of their results in some game. And we are going to create a chart that is going to be a scatter. We are going to select the most simple one. It doesn't look like a line, isn't it? But if I'm going to switch rows and columns, it looks already rather close to that. Moreover, I'm going to add a legend now to the right. I'm going to squeeze it as much as possible so that names are going to be remaining same. If I'm going to delete the x-axis, so it now looks like a line, and this is a particular what the person was looking forward. As you can see now, we have 2 players that are rather close. This is player number 2 and player number 4. However, player number 4 is pretty far from player number 3. And we can see that results for player number 4 is 125, while for the third one is 680. Rather huge difference. I believe that number 3 is playing much better than the fourth one. So this is how essentially we can use the scatter chart to present any values that are going to be available from the perspective of comparing mathematically different values and just not creating some sequence. That was the first overview of subreddit for Excel. If you consider we need to continue with it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe not to miss the future episodes. Thank you for watching. Cheers.